Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's a beautiful morning so far, but it's going to get warm today. Going to be hot summer temperatures, summer-like temperatures, just about through the end of the month. It's looking like now. Not extreme, but definitely above average for this time of the year, which has been the norm, meaning that the temperatures haven't been average much at all here lately. Yes, Travis does clean up. I know someone's going to say it. He cleans up, puts a button-up shirt on. We're in shock. Let's move along. So I guess some updates on what's going on in the Charlie Kirk ordeal. FBI still has not located or has much of any information, at least, that they're telling about the shooter. They claim they have the gun. They claim it's the gun. They claim that they have pictures that they've released. They say that that's the person of interest, but they have nothing. They don't even have a name, apparently. At least they're not saying. There have been people online that have done their online work, and they say that they've figured out who it is, but who knows? It is strange that they haven't come up with anything so far, which is starting to lean things towards this being more professional than just some random kid that just did it. About 20 minutes after the shooting happened, a private jet left the nearest airport to that university with its transponder turned off. A lot of people are suspicious about that. Yesterday, in a news interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, he was asked if Israel had anything to do with this, and he denied it and said he did not. But things are about the same. I mean, not much has changed, I guess you could say, in regards to the whole situation. Things are still tense. There's still people coming out of the woodwork praising this, regardless of what your political ideology is. I think it's pretty sick to praise this. I wouldn't praise this if he was a far left liberal. It's just morally reprehensible, I think. But that is the state of where we are at in this country. Around the world, things are still spiraling just like normal. The Middle East seems to be on the verge of popping off, with Israel attacking Qatar to take out some Hamas leadership. They are still furious. And it looks like more and more in the Middle East are starting to, lean towards we need to retaliate against Israel. And so the suspicion is that may happen in a matter of days. But we all know how things go there in the Middle East, and there's always a lot of threats and not always a lot of follow through. So we'll see. It's kind of the same thing in Eastern Europe. NATO, even though an Article 5 has not been declared, NATO is almost behaving like it has. They're piling up troops and equipment into Poland, and Poland is calling up a lot of reservists. Poland says that they're going to be sending troops into Ukraine for training purposes only. We'll see how that works. Russia is still saying that it was an accident, and Poland is saying no. They have evidence to show that it was intentional, that those drones came into Poland and landed there. So there's that. The thing that I want to get to this morning is kind of back on the AI train, which it does connect. If you stay with me, I'll make a connection with the Charlie Kirk thing. So most of you probably know that Nepal has had a revolution, so to speak. A bunch of Gen Zers online got upset that the government was restricting social media and blocking platforms like TikTok. And they took to the streets and they rioted and they protested and they burned down the parliamentary building of Nepal and ran out the prime minister and have taken over. These are 18 to 25-year-olds predominantly, and they are running the government now. They have formed their own new government, and they're running it through a Discord group. They are hosting polls in the Discord group as a form of voting as a parliament, and they've appointed their own prime minister, and the army there has recognized them as a legitimate government, and basically a bunch of young people, Gen Zers, are running the government now through chat groups and things like that. We'll see how this all works out, but that seems to be kind of the wrap up on that. Now, at the same time, another nation, Albania, yesterday announced that they are placing an artificial intelligence bot as a prime minister, or a minister, not a prime minister, a minister of social procurement. This same AI chat bot was used as an administrative assistant within the government, and now they are actually giving it the title of a minister. They're doing this, they say, to reduce corruption in their government, and it's being accepted as a legitimate position. Now, why and how do these things connect? In Nepal, you had a bunch of young people that were fed up with their government, and they rose up and they took it over and they burned the building to the ground, and they're running the government through tech, basically. Okay, they're sitting at home on their computers with their headsets, or they're on their iPhones or Androids, and they are doing pretty much the same thing in a lot of ways that Gen Zers do here in the United States, except they're doing it to run their own government. And then, of course, tech is in Albania, and it's in other places. That's just the most recent and most, pronounced situation. Now, let's go back to the United States with this whole Charlie Kirk thing. Predominantly, the sides that are becoming, I don't want to use the word violent, becoming hostile, either, praising what happened with Charlie Kirk, or, lashing out against those, are predominantly Gen Zers, because that was his base. That was his base. He was going to college campuses, and that's who he was talking to. And those are the ones that have shown the most just disgust with government, regardless of whether they are on the left or the right. They are disgusted with the current government. Even conservative Gen Zers are not happy with the current MAGA Trump administration. And then, of course, far-leaning left Gen Zers, they're many of them are hardcore socialist and communist. And so the question that I have is, or the statement, or just throwing this out there, and I hold on, I'm not making any accusations that the whole Charlie Kirk assassination was to cause this. It's possible, but I'm not making that accusation. But what I am saying and wondering is that will it lead to that? The boomer generation, my parents' generation, they're getting kind of old. They're getting, most of them. I mean, there's still a few that are, spry, but most of them are too old to get out there and revolt. Even in my generation, many of them are starting to get too old, the Gen Xers. The millennials, I don't know what to say about them, but it seems to be the Gen Zers, the young people, 18 to 25-year-olds or whatever. They are the ones that are, regardless of what they believe, they're passionate about it. And they accept technology and artificial intelligence more than any other previous generation, because that's pretty much all they've known, and they're using it. And so the question is this going to be something that we look back in history and say, yes, it was at that point that things started to snowball? We had these other recent events involving young people and technology. Then we had this assassination of someone that was either loved passionately or hated passionately by young people, and we watched a series of events happen that led us to, whether it's or not it's a new government, but definitely a massive increase in technology into the government. You know, the young people, for the most part, are not shy about this new technology. They're embracing it big time. They think it's going to fix everything. And it is steamrolling at a pretty fast pace here in the United States and around the world. And so my question is that what we're going to see? Because already, I mean, we're in day 3 from the Charlie Kirk thing. And while it is still dominating the news cycle, it appears, on social media, I am seeing more and more of other news stories, and these stories are surrounding technology, like the Nepal thing and the Albania thing and other technologies. And I just wonder, I mean, I don't have the answers and don't claim to, but as we're watching this all play out, are we, you know, like I've said, I don't believe things are coincidental for the most part, especially on, you know, big national and international levels of government. And I can see the possibility of this one single event being serious enough and in invoking so much passion on both sides that it leads us to, you know, are we going to see chaos and riots and things like that, and the solution is artificial intelligence? Because neither side will accept, you know, the leading parties. You know, most of the young people, the Gen Zers, are not happy too much about the Trump administration, as well as most of the left-leaning Gen Zers didn't like the Biden or the Kamala people. You know, they're tired of old people, of old boomers, and even old Gen Xers running things. They're tired of it. And I think it's very possible that we're starting to see things start to line up. I'm not saying that they're going to happen tomorrow or next month or anything like that, but I think we're seeing where we're headed in a way. And I think we need to get ready for that. You know, I don't think that technology in itself is inherently evil, but I think it can be used for evil things. And I think most of you would agree to that. And so we need to prepare ourselves for what is happening. 100% this assassination is an absolute tragedy, along with the school shootings that's happened lately, all of them. And other violence, you know, that young lady in was it South Carolina or wherever that was attacked on the bus or whatever. It's tragic. It's horrible. We have a serious problem here in the United States. And it's not to say that we have a serious crime problem. That is true and obvious. We have a morality problem. We have a problem that people's hearts have turned cold. They have turned against the Father. This is all biblical. It's all scriptural. And we're watching it play out. And I think that's one of the reasons why people will turn to AI. They're not going to turn to God for the most part, I don't believe. They're going to turn to something that they believe is better. And that's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be fair. It's going to be, you know, not corruptible, they believe. And I think we're watching certain things happen to put other things into play. And we should be monitoring that. You should be getting ready. I think that there is still a good chance, it's not definite, but there's still a good chance that over the coming days and weeks that more violence could be happening. You know, there's been little things in the news here in the last 24 hours or so of, you know, lockdowns at naval bases and lockdowns at the DNC and other things of suspicious nature. But yeah, I think that we're headed that way. Now, you know, the details on the Charlie Kirk thing, who knows? The police in that area are claiming that Russia and China bots are spreading false information online and making things worse. Probably true. No real indicators of who this person is officially. and what the truth is. And it, like I've said before in other things, we may never know the actual truth. Regardless of what they tell us is the truth, we may not know the real truth. And I think at this point we need to just continually and more fervently prepare ourselves, because I still believe that America turned a page a couple of days ago, and we're headed down a different, more serious and path at a faster pace, and we should be preparing for that. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and getting yourselves ready mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.